My name is Dave O'Sullivan, or as some of you would know me as Deco Bishop from Fair City. And let's have an Axis chat.
Great thought. Look, I can't not speak to you without remarking on the sunshine behind you. It's not a filter.
It's not a filter. This is all unfiltered. Hashtag no filter. Yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous day. Um, the one thing we get to kind of bask in with all this stuff now is getting to enjoy the weather. We're not stuck in offices and kind of things. But yeah, it's a bittersweet kind of
Yeah,
thing because you see people are stuck at home. They're getting bored. They're getting thing, and then you get stuff like this. Then it's helped people reconnect, and it's great.
Dave, tell us about. Obviously, I've known you for years, but even before, say, the youth theatre aspect of it, was this something that always in your head? Like when you were growing up and when you were younger, was performing in your head in your house?
It was kind of weird. Like, if you just said to me when I was even 15, 16, what did you want to be when you were older? I would have never said actor. I would have kind of probably never said in the performing arts. And I kind of fell into it really. Around about, we're kind of running in the Reco in Ballymun at the time. And I remember a friend of mine, Donna O'Neill, actually, was a member. And I think myself and Louise Lowe actually had joined the same week in mid-production of Blood Brothers, and we came in, and Donna O'Neill had come home, and I lived in the flat above hers in Balbridge Lane in Ballymun, and she had said, "Oh, it's so difficult, it's hard, you know." And I went, "How can it be hard? I mean, you learn a couple of lines, you go on stage, you say them. What's so difficult about that?" And she actually made me a bet at the time and said, "I bet you 50 quid you wouldn't last a production month in a theatre company." And I went, "I'll take that bet." I was never paid. And we're what, 17 years later or something. So I was never paid for that bet. I'm old. But no, it was never something that I would have said from an early age. But I'm so glad I fell into it. It's been an unbelievable journey. And from that kind of first production of Blood Brothers, I had no lines. I get to shoot. Was it Eddie at the end of it? And that's it. It kind of started from there, and from that first production, which was in January, till the end of that year, calendar year, I think I'd done 12, 13 different shows, all under Louise and roundabout and stuff. And it was an unbelievable start, and it was kind of learning as you're going, because you know yourself, Louise Lowe, an incredible mentor, and I was so lucky to get in at the front door with her. So it was an incredible journey.
And Dave, before that, like, was it in school at all? Was it in, like, even in primary school? Would you be known as the fella who kind of puts on characters or play, or was that kind of completely not you at all?
Probably not. I mean, I did Greece in uh, junior comprehensive, so I think it was second or third year I'd done Greece. I did one or two other kind of smaller things. I was in the school choir. God knows that didn't last. But yeah, I mean, I'd done a couple of production stuff early, but nothing to the scale of what was to come,
Yeah.
obviously. So it was, yeah, I kind of never thought that it was the road that I would have went down. But again, like I said, thank God that it did, because I've had an amazing time of it, and I'm going, what am I now? I was 16, 17 years doing it now, and I got less for murder.
And quickly then, when you were in the youth theatre, like, was that very different to what your kind of friends and schoolmates, or like, was there a bleed over of that into school, or was it kind of something that was seen as weird, or was it?
Um, yeah, there wasn't a lot of people that I went to school with that were kind of within the arts. A lot of them were great at sports, and I had great interest in sports. Like I kind of tried out for everything at some stage. Tried out for GA, was terrible at it. Tried out for hurling, was even worse. And then played football a lot. So thankfully I could play for the school. I was playing for a couple of clubs, but nobody kind of really fell into the arts side of it. But when the chance came up, when we were in second year, to do Greece, so many people dove on it, and it was brilliant. So it just kind of showed that until the chance probably presents itself, you don't know you want to do it until the opportunity is actually there. I like that so many people dove on it. Like I had a bit part in it at the time. I just wanted to just kind of be in it, be around it, do it, and see how it was. And then after that, I think we did Fiddler on the Roof the following year. And again, like that, it was so many people just dove on it. Nobody kind of took the idea at the time, I want to go out, I want to join a theatre company now. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was only when I'd finished school and I joined round about youth theatre that I did it. That I kind of went, that was actually so much fun. I want to do more. I want to keep going. And it's great now. You see, there's so many kind of theatre companies and youth theatres in areas that wouldn't have it are popping up now. I know Louis McGee has one out the Swords, and he's flying at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's great though that younger people are getting the chance to do it, because, again, if you were like me, you didn't know you wanted to do it until you actually done it. And then you get the interest in it and you develop kind of more love for it. And you just keep going then, and you never know what you can achieve until you start doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. I mean, we've got, I think Ballymun is blessed with its kind of schools and youth work situations. I mean, you mentioned, the Recco there for a roundabout was that's, the Ballymun Regional Youth Resource, and also the Trinity Comprehensive, when they used to be two separate.
Yeah.
Them and they kind of, it's a huge art ethos in those schools. Well, why do you think people dove on it, Dave?
Again, I think it's just one of the things that once you do it, or once one of your friends did it, it had the knock-on effect. So, I mean, like, I know when I did it, all the cool lads, when they dove on it, other people kind of looked and went, oh, well, if they're going to do it, and it's all right for them to do it, I'm going to do it. And then they did it. And you're seeing it now more and more. The more somebody does something, you'll see the knock-on effect. And again, it may not have been something that you were looking at, but then your friend goes and does it. And you go, but if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. We'll do it together. And it becomes this domino effect, and it just spirals.
Yeah.
And hopefully it all spirals into something great.
Yeah.
Because even if it doesn't, and you never do it again, you've had the experience. So you kind of know kind of what's in store, and you know whether you kind of like it or don't. But I'd always say to somebody, just try it. And that goes for anything. That's not just arts or plays, that's everything. You won't know you won't like it until you've done it.
Yeah. I mean, I think before I came to Ballymun, I was heavily involved in youth theatre out in Bray many years ago as well. And I think what's interesting about Roundabout, I think there was always a relationship. Say when this building Access was being built, there's a relationship there with, the youth theatre kind of emerging out of that with the youth services, and kind of, I suppose, what, I know it was a bet, but like lots of people have also refused bets. So what in you do you think brought you down there to kind of do that?
I think it was the initial. I had a point to prove. My very initial was, I had a point to prove. I could do this, and the 50 quid is just going to make it all the sweeter. But then when I got into it, we did it, you kind of see how hard people work, because I didn't know whether I was going to come in and like just take the piss, just stay the length of time, just so I'd win the bet. But then you get into it and you see how serious people are taking it, and that it is a lot of hard work. And then you start to appreciate that then. And then when you see it being done, you appreciate it more, and you start getting your head down and kind of focusing more on it and going, all right, well, look, this is not just here now for the bit of fun and the laugh and a joke on a Tuesday and Thursday night. Yeah. People are putting time and effort into this. And once you kind of develop that appreciation, you start to do it as well. And I would have been one of the kind of more, I know it's weird to say, I think I was 18 years old. I would have been one of the more senior members of Roundabout at the time. A lot of people were younger than me. We had people in it that were 14, 15, 16 years of age. And I came in and even seen the work ethic that they were putting in. And in Ballymun and Roundabout especially, they had got that love and that work ethic early, that they wanted to, that this was serious for them. This is something that they wanted to showcase. Whether it was in Axis, whether it was in the Recco, whether it was in their front garden, it didn't matter. They wanted to press and to get better at this. And then when Louise joined, it was kind of broke up into two. And there was the group that were there just kind of as a hobby. And then there was the other group that wanted to take it more serious. So I was like, okay, look, we'll have this one here as a hobby, but if you want to actually progress and learn and develop, you come to this side. And nearly everybody went across to that side. And then I think we had, I don't know, many years of shows that went on, the amount of awards that were won through all that hard work, and it paid off for a lot of people. Some people that are there are still involved in the arts, others went off, did other things, but the one thing that you could never fault Roundabout for was the work ethic and the desire to be great.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of that was instilled by Louise when she came in as well, because she wanted to be the best, and she wanted her group to be the best. And like that, we'd won several awards at different festivals and stuff, and theatre awards, and it was an amazing group of people to be part of, and something as an older person going into that group to see the younger people kind of saying, stop taking the piss, this is work time now. And there was a time to be on and there was a time to be off, but most of it was time to be on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember there's too many productions to kind of go into now, but I mean, I remember, and obviously some of them were here, but a lot of them were kind of out, which is obviously as Louise kind of has become renowned for in her further career. But the show that stands out for me was the one in the Flats, Tumble Downtown.
Oh yeah, the incredible show.
And I think that
incredible show.
The use of the landscape and the use of the engagement with the community, and that was just kind of
yeah.
And Dave, can I just ask you, in the middle of all that, and obviously, you've got a family there looking at a young lad kind of spending all the hours kind of, God sends involved in the group and more. Did you get a sense of, like, when did you get a sense of what you were wanting or hoping to do next? Because I remember that it was around that time when you were kind of, not leaving you roundabout, but kind of looking for what next. Do we kind of cemented our relationship around that time? But what was in your head talking to your folks?
I think it was the one thing that I always kept was coming into the arts is always, I think, taking a chance. Whether it's acting, whether it's music, whether it's any kind of form, if you're going on your own, you're not going for this kind of stable job. You're not going for the easy money. You're taking a chance. I was very lucky in a sense that a lot of rehearsals and stuff that we would do were in the evenings. So I would have a daytime job, and then I'd go from that straight around to Axis or to the Reco or to any of those and be involved in it. Those other people didn't. They had school. So it was for me to kind of, the turning point was after I started in the January. It was a year later, and it was the first time in a year I'd had a break from doing shows. And it was then, I think I'd had a couple of weeks off. We were leading up to doing something, and it was kind of then that I went, I want to start doing this now. I want to keep going. I don't want this break anymore. I don't like this break. And I started to get hungrier for it. The first year was kind of weird, because I was just doing show after show. Sometimes we were doing 2 sets of rehearsals in a day. We would do 1 set in the morning, 1 set in the evening for different shows. When I got the break, I didn't want to be away from it anymore. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to be in rehearsals for something. I wanted to be doing something. I wanted to be interacting. By this stage, I developed good friends with the group that I would then hang out with socially, that you wouldn't only see at rehearsals, because we kind of all lived within 15 minutes of each other, so it was great. But it was kind of after that first year when I got the break that I went, no, I want to keep doing this. I want to do more. I want to do kind of different kind of work as well. And we started doing a lot more kind of serious stuff. I remember I went to, I think Louise brought me to Berlin at one point to do a show, and then we went to Slovakia. Actually, I think that was in the first year as well, as part of the exchange program. And I think you were actually involved in that as well. We took the group of Slovakian, the theatre company from there. We brought them over, and then we went over there. And But it was the kind of the year when I had the gap that I kind of seen, and I went, this is what I want to do. I'm enjoying this. But I think it was the fact that as well. I think I had all the safeties in place as well. I still had the daytime job. I was still living at home with the folks. I hadn't got the leap hadn't been made into kind of real world. You're in it on your own now, and it was only kind of when I think it was kind of probably actually when Fair City came around that it was this could be now a full time gig.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to do kind of the part time job and all these kind of things.
Yeah. And come here, was there didn't you go to the States, Dave, as well?
I did. Ray Yates actually had sent me over. Myself and, oh God, what's the girl's name?
So Catherine.
I can't think of it. Catherine, that's it. Had sent the two of us over to do a show in the States that we then brought back to Axis. So we spent a couple of months living over there, taking in their way of life, their kind of way of doing theatre, their culture. And it's weird to say their culture because you think, oh, they're American, they speak our language. It's the same kind of culture. It's not. It's a different kind of work environment. They have a different way of doing it. And I think every group or every place is going to have their own kind of identity. And these had theirs. I mean, I remember like I had to get up at like 6:30 in the morning to get into college to do yoga before you would do rehearsals. I'd never heard of doing yoga before rehearsals. So I had to go off, I had to buy all the gear and then do yoga. And I remember the first day I did it, this is like an advanced yoga class. And me, this Wally beginner, came in and said, no, it should be fine. I play a bit of sports, I stretch. Christ, on a bike the next day, I was fit for a coffin. I couldn't move. But it was great to kind of take in their way of doing things, and then to bring it back here. And we brought them around Ireland and showed them our way of doing it.
Yeah. And come here to me, I mean, there was something that always struck me around, well, not that time, but later when you were kind of trying to branch out, was you always had, and you've always seemed to have maintained a very strong work ethic. I remember working with you on your kind of audition pieces and working with you. It was always very, very, yeah, the artistic bit was kind of there, but as much as kind of the questions were based, how do I do this? What do I need? You know, that piece was always going to be very, very important to you. Was that always there for you, Dave?
I think that developed over time because I didn't know how many tools I would need in order to succeed in this game. And that's something that you learn over time. You need to kind of have a good network in this game of kind of friends, of colleagues, of all sorts of things. So learning to be able to ask for help is a massive thing. There's so many people that won't. And then there's so many people that don't believe that they'll need help along the way. But I think within this business, you will always need help, whether it's advice, whether it's somewhere to use a rehearsal space, whether it's somebody to help you with auditions, somebody to help you record something. You will always need somebody to help you along. And it's something that you always got to give back then as well, because someday that phone's going to ring to say, come here, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
I'm doing an audition piece, can you help me? And I think it's great to have a strong network of people within the business to kind of help you along, as much as then you can be in their network and you help them as well. But the thing as well is there's so many people now in the business. I mean, I know there's hundreds come out of Trinity every year. I dive straight into this business. So I think you have to have that hunger, that desire to kind of cover everything. Because if you don't, somebody else will. And somebody else is going to come in and take that spot that you believe should have been yours. So I think it's always good to do as much as you can, whether it's, acting, whether it's singing, cover music, learn to play instruments, get out, be like doing workshops, do everything. Take in as many workshops as you can. I was lucky as well. I did the NAYD course to be a facilitator, which was another brilliant aspect, and something that helped me then. I went off to facilitate in schools and different youth theatres around the country, and it was just a kind of another string to the bow, but one that I would have never said at the start of the journey. It's like, well, I want to become a facilitator. I didn't know what a facilitator was.
Yeah, I mean,
but you learn over time, and it helps you develop as an actor as well, and as a person. Because you're now passing knowledge on to other people. knowledge that got passed on to you. And again, now these young people are going to go off and they're going to teach it to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, an awful lot of people through these chats have remarked both on the youth theatre experience, but also that that arts train kind of experience as well. You know, incredible thing that was in existence. Dave, talk to me then about the journey towards Fair City.
That was actually a weird one, because we were actually rehearsing for something one evening, and Jed Murray had come in. Pat Nolan had got a hold of Sparky in Ballymun, and Sparky had passed it on to Jed. They said, "Look, come here, they're looking for a couple of hoodlums in Fair City for a couple of scenes for a week or two. Would any of your Ballymun lads be interested?" And so Jed said, "Well, look, I'll pass it on." And Louise Lowe, weirdly enough, she actually directed me in Fair City only a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
And she was the one who brought me by the hand nearly into RTA to do the audition.
Wow.
So that was a kind of weird one. And like that, we got the callbacks to say, right, come here, you got a couple of weeks. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. And that's it then. We were like, that's great. And there was myself. There was Paddy Fitzpatrick, Louis, Wes Doyle, Robbie O'Connor was coming in at the time as well. And like that, we came in, we did a couple of weeks, we were finished. And then we get an email a couple of weeks later, do you fancy a couple more weeks? Absolutely. Then it got into the summer. Do you want some more? Do you want some more? Do you want some more? And it just developed from there. And we were lucky as well. And I know I keep going back to it, but we were lucky we had Louise on our shoulders as well, because she was the one that saw it for us. I said, lads, this isn't just a couple of weeks now. This is turning into, this is real professional work. You need to be on top of your game, on top of everything. Learn them lines, do what they're telling you to do, and lay this down. Nail it to the ground, because this is an incredible gig. It's an incredible opportunity. I mean, the show was, and still is, it was nationwide. So now it wasn't just 200, 300, 400 people in a theatre looking at us. It was thousands around the country.
Yeah.
That was kind of the thing. And we were lucky in a sense as well that Bridgie de Courcy had just come on board when we started with Fair City as well. And this was one of her first big stories, and we helped to launch that. So that was huge. And like that, she's still there today, still doing an incredible job. But yeah, it was just kind of, I think that she's seen early doors that we weren't in it just for the couple of weeks. Every time we came in, set our lines, hit our marks, went home. No messing, get the work done, get it done properly, and then get out of there.
And come here.
I still live by that to this day. You didn't hit your mark, say your line, and go home.
And come here, was that a huge? That must have been a huge culture shock to you, Dave. Though I mean, like going from, as you say, from doing youth theatre shows and some bits and bobs and stuff like that into this machine.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a massive step that it took me a while to get used to, because like that, you're walking down the road one day, you're regular bloke, nobody knows you, to walking through town and people are coming up and asking for photographs with you and asking for autographs off you, and it's a massive kind of personal shock because you don't know how to deal with it, and you're learning to read people very quick. Who's coming up saying this because they genuinely want a photo? Who's coming up because they want to take the piss? Who's coming up because their friend over there wants it, they're too shy? And you learn to read people kind of very quick. Until of course you get outside Dublin and then everybody was watching it, because it was the main thing down there. It still is massive down there. The second you step outside Dublin, it's like Conor McGregor walking around nowadays.
Yeah.
You weren't kind of on your own ever. There's always mass crowds when you stepped outside Dublin. But yeah, personally, it took a while to get used to.
And did it help that there was kind of, you know, people that you knew kind of joining with you? Did it help that like the Louis and Wes and Robbie and Paddy were kind of there?
Yeah, I think it was good because you could kind of draw on their experiences as well. So you'd be talking to them. They'd say, somebody came up to me in the street and they were this, that, and the other. Somebody come up to me, and everybody had a different story. But we were lucky as well at the time because we were working very closely at the time with McLean Burke, who plays Damien in the show, and he really helped us along. He kind of showed us all the pitfalls and stuff, and kind of helped us really ease into it. There was the likes like himself, Victor Burke as well, Tony Tormey, and like Tony Tormey walking into Fair City is a daunting thought because he's the only one now that's been there since day dot. So you're kind of walking in, when the kind of godfather of Fair City comes and kind of takes you in, throws the arm around you and says, right, come here, I'll show you the ropes. It's a massive help. And we were so lucky to have that early doors. There was nobody kind of to, set you up messing wise and something to get you in trouble. We got in, we got our feet under the table, and luckily them feet stayed there and are still there today. But it was again, it goes back to having the network of people.
Yeah.
Never being afraid to ask for help, ask for guidance, ask for something, because the worst you can be told is no.
Yeah. And you get it. And how was your family and friends then when all this started to happen?
Oh, when it started, that was bananas. Like, of course, now I'm 13 years there now. But when it started, it was much a shock to them as it was to me, because they were getting to see you be going to bars and that, there'd be groups of people coming over looking for photographs, and I could be having the piss shredded, ripped out of you. But again, it was a great thing as well, because it's an acknowledgement that A, that they watch it, but B, they kind of appreciate your work and they kind of want to talk to you and stuff. So it was great. But the friends thing, that also took a while to bed. It still hasn't settled. You still go out anywhere now, anybody asks for a photo or something, you still get the few laughs.
Yeah, well, you're being grounded in another way, I'd say, very quickly.
Yeah, it is. It's the other thing. It does kind of keep your feet in the ground, because you need that. I think it's very easy to get carried away, between the money, the recognition, all this. It's very easy to get carried away, and it's again like that. The likes of Mac and Tony and that, teaching you early doors and say, well, look, this can be swiped out from under your feet as quick as you got it. So don't let it get to your head. Keep your feet firmly on the ground, and just like get in. Hit your line, hit your mark, say your lines, and don't get in trouble.
Was it's a very different context and a very different art form. Like, even though it's still acting, but it's very, very different from kind of working in theatre. Did that take? How was that kind of for you, Dave?
I think because I did it that way, it was a bit easier. I had the strong work ethic from theatre, that it was fast paced, it was all the time on the move. You could go into RTE and have your first scene at 8:15 in the morning, but not have another one till 2 o'clock. And that gap in time is great, because you learn your next scene, you could do it, but you also get the fast paced days. I mean, I was in there one day, we were shooting scenes in a prison in there, and it was myself and, oh God, I can't think of the lad's name now. But it was myself, Don Baker was actually involved in it as well. He came in as like a gang boss in prison, and I was working with him, which was unbelievable, and such a gentleman. And we shot 25 scenes in one day, from 8:15 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening, and that was just bananas. But there is those days where you have to shoot the 20 odd scenes. Then there's the other days you could go in, you'd be in at 7:30 in the morning, you're done by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You go home then. Do you know what I mean? But I think because I had been used to working with Louise, who works very fast paced, very to the point, when I stepped into television, it was that kind of bit slower, that bit more relaxed. Because you even have the time even between shots. You got people setting up cameras, setting up booms, all these kind of things. People getting into position, having to reshoot, having to change angles. You get them little times in between that you get to run lines with stuff. You get to run stuff. You get that bit of extra time. You step out on a stage in theatre, and it's just you.
Yeah.
And if you mess up or you flip a line, you gotta get it back. And you have to kind of work on initiative, and your brain is working so much quicker on a stage. Whereas you mess up a line on television, cut, go again. Now you have it, quick look, bang, you have it, let's go. And you have that bit of extra time. Whereas I think people doing it in reverse, I think people that would start out in television and films and that, going into theatre, I think that's probably more of a shock.
Okay.
Because you work so fast, so much faster.
Yeah. And David, in the years of Fair City, have you had time to do anything else? Has there been kind of other escapades that you've had time for?
I've been kind of, I suppose I could say I've been kind of lucky that it's been my kind of mainstay for 13 years, and I probably haven't done as much as I should have in terms of branching out, but I've never had an agent, so I suppose that kind of catalogue of work has kind of never been available to me. But I've done other things. I mean, as was only posted recently, the hilarious video of Joy in the Hood
Yeah.
that we did with Des Bishop, which still haunts me. But I mean, you see the likes still, like Eric Lawler still doing it, and making a success out of it. I think Willa White is still doing it as well, and making a good living off it. But no, I probably haven't done as much as I should have in terms of other projects, because kind of I've always kind of given Fair City the kind of first refusal on it. I'd say, well, look, come here. If you need me for the summer, I'm yours. If you need me for the winter, I'm yours. But yeah, kind of looking now, I would have liked to do a lot more. But look, there's always
You're young.
There's always the rest of my life to do.
Exactly. Can we go back to Joy in the Hood? Like,
Yes.
How did that happen for you?
I was working in the centre around the corner from Axis at the time, and Des Bishop actually came in with his cameraman and was saying, "Oh, we're doing this. Do you want to join?" And he was putting flyers up on the shop, and of course, Rob Murphy, who runs Super Value now, absolutely dove on it. Oh yeah, I'll put these up. Loving the adoration, but and I went, you know what? I got to give this a go. So I went in, I met with the guys. They said, right, here's what we're going to do. Here's what you have to do. Go and write a couple of minutes of material, and then come back. We're going to audition everybody. So all right. So went into Axis. I'm in lunch break actually from Centra. Did the audition, and they got back to me. It was a couple of weeks later, and they said, right, yeah, you're in. Thankfully, I didn't actually make the TV cut. Myself and Dean Scurry missed out on that, but that's probably a good thing. But what it did show me, though, for that is how hard stand-up comics work. I mean, to make your own material, then to have it succeed like that. I know it's same as stage with theatre, but a lot of times with theatre, you might have somebody to bounce off. If your material doesn't land as a comic, where do you go? Yeah. Unless you run off the stage, you have nowhere to go. Yeah. And I found it as one of the most difficult kind of things to do, is to write your stuff and have it land with other people. Yeah. And it was incredibly difficult, and I applaud anybody that can do it.
I mean, it's sort of, I think it's similar though, Dave, with the public not understanding in relation to, you know, the amount of, you know, TV that, or the amount of work it takes to make that amount of TV. I mean, how long is Fair City on per week now? It's been an hour and a half, is it?
2 hours.
2 hours.
In total, I think it's 24 minutes an episode, so 96 minutes a week, and it takes 4 days plus the 2 days outside, so 6 days to shoot. For 96 minutes of material.
That's a movie a week.
Yeah.
And I suppose, and with a huge cast.
Yeah. So you're working. I mean, we shoot in studio. I think we shoot roughly anywhere between 60 and 80 scenes in a week, and then on EFP, which is outside, you could shoot anywhere between kind of 15 and 20, and that's then all got to be edited, cut together, put together, and then put out to the public. Whereas the same with comics. Comics may have to write 5-6 hours of material for an hour-long show.
Yeah. And
that could take weeks or months to develop, all for a 1 hour show.
Yeah.
But so it's the work. It's the work that goes on behind it that really deserves the appreciation, as well as the work to go out and deliver it.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, though. Not alone in relation to the actors on Fair City, but the whole team and crew, like behind the scenes, in relation to I mean, it's been a virtual army.
Well, that's it. It's like the parts of a car. You take out one part, the whole thing falls apart. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's job is as important as somebody else's, and you can't be run without everybody. So I mean, it's a testament to the group that you're working with.
Yeah. And do you think sometimes, I mean, I'm always interested when, we try and campaign for the arts and we try and talk about the arts importance and stuff like that, that sometimes I feel the public don't necessarily understand or don't get what people are talking about. Do you find that like sort of that, it's sometimes hard to describe about what it means?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the thing of once it's laid out in front of them, until it's laid out in front of them, they won't understand it. And unless you've been involved in it, you don't understand it, which is fine because it's not everybody's game. But I think there's an interesting article only released recently to say that the arts have been too nice in regard to looking for funding. And I think they have. I mean, you see only recently the amount of funding that have been released for arts in this country, and it's atrocious. It's buttons. Now, again, nobody's looking to tread on any HSE money or anything. I mean, obviously, everything needs to be thrown into that at the moment. But I just think in general, it's been happening for too long that I think the arts have been too nice about looking for funding. Because I think in order for us as a nation to grow and for actors and musicians and comics and everything else to grow, we do need more money. We need more resources. And I think when we get that, you're going to see that's why like a lot of Irish people go to England, go to the States, or to find work. People have big arts programs. I mean, the UK has a massive arts program. And we should be doing what we can to not only preserve what we have, but to enhance it.
Yeah.
And to get more out of what we have. Because we've got an absolute massive array of talent in this country, across all forms. So I think the more we get to express that, the better. And I think now that everybody's kind of locked indoors and that, I think the arts in the next year, once this finishes a year on, is going to thrive. Because people are going to want to get out of the house. They're going to want to see stuff. Writers are at home now, busy writing. Comics are at home, busy putting all their stuff together. So when this all ends and we can socialize properly again, the amount of work that's going to be ready to go, I think is going to be phenomenal. And I think it's going to be a massive burst because you're going to have actors that are going to want to act, comics that are going to want to do stand-up. You're going to have musicians that are writing music now that are just bursting for a venue to open and people to crowd in. I think it's going to be a massive, massive year once this finishes.
Yeah, I mean, I think
sooner the better.
I think it's going to be interesting about how long that kind of is. But like,
yeah,
I think one thing that you said there was interesting. I think about going back to the way your pathway into your career. I mean, I think there's people talk about the arts, but they kind of, I think it needs to be spoken about and aligned with a range of other resources in communities. I mean, like, as you said you wouldn't be where you are today without the local regional youth resource in Ballymun. I think that's a space, community services and youth services and even schools. I mean, I think, going back to what you're saying about not knowing what you're missing until you try it, that sense of chance to do your school musical is kind of key as well. And would you agree that that's kind of important too?
I'm lucky enough. I've facilitated a lot of workshops in schools, and again, it would be like when I started out. I didn't know what I wanted until I tried it. A lot of people in schools that I worked with love it, and they'll say to me, "Oh, do you know what's my local theatre company? Where can I go to do more of this?" And I go, "Your area doesn't have one," and it's unfortunate. So I think to be able to open more. I mean, I don't know, is Arts Train still running? No. Is that down to any particular reason or lack of funding or?
Funding, I think, yeah.
So, I mean, to get stuff like that, I mean, if we had an Arts Train type program in each county, can you imagine how big that would filter out around the country? It means each year then you're getting 10 to 12, up to 20 even facilitators coming out each year that are ready to run programs in youth resource centres, in schools, in all these areas that don't have one. Somebody would see a look in the market and go, this area here, Mass area, doesn't have an arts program. Let's jump in there and let's bring it to the people of the area. And it doesn't have to be just for young people. So many people that I work with, I make short films with Kevin Rowe events, and I go out and I coach the guys for a couple of weeks. Then we go out and I direct the films themselves. And again, these are just normal, everyday people that signed up to do something, whether it be for a fundraiser, for charity, and they come back and they say, when they're finished, and I say it to them all on the first night, when this is over, you're going to want to do more, I promise you. And they come back. And the last thing that they'll always say is, we need to set up an Amdram theatre group in this area because I love doing that. I want to go back and do more. And you'll see them, some of them have done it. And they just want to be involved in it, whether it's for any particular reason, whether they want to make money out of it, whether they just want to meet up with people once a week, rehearse a show, go out and do it community-wise. It's brilliant to see that you can bring that to them. And I've worked all over the country with these guys, and it's been fantastic to do. So if you leave that in the area as a youth group, as a theatre company, an amateur-based theatre company, they want to do it.
Yeah.
And when they do it like that, they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. And I think if we had that around the country, I think the influx of actors would pour out. The pool would get bigger. Because you would then have people younger that then want to go on and say, well, I want to go on to Trinity. I want to go on to Lear. I want to go and do all this now. I want to do this professionally, long term.
David, I'm going to leave it at that. That was great and a great way to finish. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine.
Will do.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to last for a while, so I got to enjoy this. I got to turn the cameras off now. My shirt's going to come off. I'm going to get my tan.
Yeah,
you know.
Please make sure we stop recording first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, most definitely. Trust me, the world doesn't want this.
Talk to you soon.
See you soon. Stay safe, everyone.